I would start where Brian left. Brian, in fact, we started, both of us started similar time. We also started with the basic services, lighting services. Over a period of time, we saw that the customers' needs are a bit graduated. So we made some changes and improvements in our model. And then we named it as Smart AC Solar Microgrid. I had also, had a word of innovative, world's most innovative. But I thought, let's drop that word innovative. Let the customers decide. Let the service provider, our consumers, let them say that it is innovative. At the end of the day, your services, your, tariff structure, they need to do the talking. So rather than the word, any words to that model attached. So, in the, most of the off-grids work with few hours in the day. Either in the evening hours or 4 to 5 hours, 6 to 7 hours. That's the kind of stuff it works. So when we started our services, in the beginning, the customers will have a wow factor. Because when they didn't have any electricity and they have the electricity, so there is a clean lighting or say, from the polluting, kerosene lamps to the clean LED lighting. So there is a definitely a wow factor. Yeah, that's quite good. But then, that lasts for a few months. In India, about 77 million households don't have access to electricity. About 400 million population don't have access to electricity. And 50% of them live in two provinces of two states of the, one in UP and Bihar. I think I heard from, AEPC that essentially about 30% of the households in Nepal don't have access to electricity. So I think that's quite a good match. And interestingly, I saw some mapping also. Eastern side, eastern Nepal, eastern and northern Nepal don't have any grid, don't have quite a good amount of solar light also. So I think that's the area where actually this kind of model solar can be replicated. So, what's the key challenges? There are two segments, electrified and not electrified. So in the so-called electrified villages, you find couple of issues, I think, which is similar in UP as well as in India as well as in Nepal. Number one, there will be always, some people would either try not to pay or steal electricity. So I don't know how rampant or how regularized it's in Nepal. In India, if you are in rural areas, so essentially people, nobody from the utility will go over there. So essentially it is free electricity. So you have the electric lines, electric poles, whoever desires, they can tap it and consume it. So nobody bothers to go over there. So that's in the rural areas. So, that's number one. Number two, essentially, there will be, the availability. People in those areas don't mind to pay. That's because electricity is not available. It will be available for few hours in the day, in odd hours. I would say some story. Essentially, like in here, if the electricity goes out, you will have, wow, electricity gone. I mean, in those areas, that's different. Electricity is not there. When electricity will be there, there will be fact, oh, electricity has come. So that's the difference between here and there. So, let's say to charge a mobile, the mobile charger will be kept plugged into the socket. So because don't know when electricity will come. So probably in the night electricity will come and then the mobile will get charged. So that's the kind of services in those rural areas. So that's why people don't bother to pay also. So we just then figured out, can there be a model, considering this is the challenge, can there be a model where we can actually, tap this opportunity? So that's how we started. So it's a rural clean energy service provider, doing very, trying to build a sustainable model across considering the need of the villages. And coming to the regulatory side, in India, in the rural areas, we don't require any kind of license to operate. So, that could be seen in Nepal context. So what is the regulatory or license mechanism? In rural areas of India, we don't require anything. We just simply start our plant and provide services to the customers. And the tariff that we collect from the customers is essentially negotiated, mutually negotiated. We have a package. So we discuss those packages with the villagers. And then, of course, those packages has been designed keeping the customer's need in the mind. So otherwise, we won't be able to operate our systems over there. So that fact of the tariff deciding, I saw some pictures, tariff meetings, people are gathered and tariffs are discussed over there. Similar kind of job, but then essentially here the government has to step back. The government will come in and say that, okay, you have to take this much only, irrespective of your cost of services. Then those models will not be sustainable. So when they are telling that, okay, literally the private sector to come and take the charge, they need to actually give that charge actually in every context. So they cannot just say you and behind, okay, no, you have to go there, but then you cannot charge beyond this rate. So that is something need to be taken care. That's the model. Essentially, we try to provide, 24/7 electricity, and in order to avoid the hassles of collecting money, we have prepaid meters. It's like the way prepaid mobiles work. So people who have, they come to you and take a recharge. It's a prepaid recharge. So you don't have to go to them to collect money. So it's like, and they can plug in, television, fan, whatever they wish. So that's how it works. Essentially just centralized in the village or in the community. Within that community, you will have a solar power installation. Then, of course, there will be battery banks, which will be charged. And then, there will be inverter systems, and then which will convert the DC power to the AC power. And then the AC power will be distributed through underground cables. Essentially, that's what we have done in India. That's because in India, as I mentioned to you, if you take overhead wires, there are the chances that there will be unauthorized tapping, as well as those cables will tend to be theft or broken in the bad weather time. So the kind of practice that we have started in India is that we take the cables underground. We take the cables underground, and then, there will be different hubs where we will be taking those cables out, and then we'll have, prepaid meter installations over there. And from there, it will go to the households. I'll show you some pictures. And again, the beauty in this grid is that it is designed to be compatible to the main grid. In case, main grid is extended, let's say there is a micro-hydel grid, or, the main grid is extended to your village. So you should not be bothered about that. Okay, main grid has come in and they will charge much lower tariff, so you will be wiped out. So nothing, that fear need to be kept out. That's because you have designed a feature, essentially, when the main grid is coming in, so they don't have to duplicate the assets that you have created over there. No, you have built a distribution infrastructure over there. And you have the prepaid metering, and then you have all the households are wired to you. So everything is AC grid. So it's already grid is there. So they just need to pump in their cheap electricity to you. Because your electricity is expensive. That's because you have sun energy. And you have a battery bank to store those energy. These are a bit expensive. So when the cheap energy is coming in, let them supply the cheap energy to you. And then you are already there as a franchisee. So you sell the electricity to the community that you are operating in. So that's the model. So, and that way it is actually a sustainable model. That essentially the investment which has been into your grid, they are not sunk. So it's already continue to be useful. In the solar grid, the myth will be essentially the sunlight is only available for 300 days in a year. And second, the rural community, they don't pay for it. So these are two myths. Whenever you start the business model and, take it to investors or the AEPC, so they will ask these questions. So essentially you need to, so you need to have some partnership, or the experienced players who can actually guide you through that. So in what we have done, we have already delivered that essentially with better design, you can actually avoid that lean period. And if at all that lean period would be in peak winter season, it's very difficult to manage. In peak winter season, you won't have any sunlight for 15 days, 20 days together. It's really cloudy days. So in those days, it's definitely bit peak. This is very lean period. So probably your systems will be out for, let's say, 10 days or 15 days maximum. But then if it is going out for 15 days in a year's time, it's still manageable. So for the rest of the days, it's there. And villages won't pay for it, so we make a prepaid. So we have, incorporated prepaid mechanism. So that, provision of not paying is not there. It's like a prepaid mobile. And the meters are so installed that they cannot actually bypass it or tamper it. So you can be rest assured if the design system is there. So they pay the money to the recharge agent, and then they have the electricity in their home. So people ask about the economics, essentially, okay, the big stuff. So how is it bankable? Is it viable? So let me take you through the model. So it's in rupees, Indian rupees. So I believe here there's a good amount of, understanding with Indian rupees. So for 50 household, essentially let me take the model. Right now we work with two models. One is build, own, operate, and maintain. Essentially that's the funding that we bring in. So we means the investors behind us, the banking capital. So that money is put into our systems. So we build own the system and then operate and maintain the systems. So we operate maintain means essentially there will be local agents, local body who will be actually hired by us to operate and maintain the system. So that is the boom model. So that's one. I'm not sure to what extent we will be able to replicate in Nepal. But the second model, which is actually a build, transfer, and maintain. So they are the rural, the entrepreneurs from Nepal actually can pitch in. It's like a kind of franchise model where essentially, we build the system, so we transfer the technology, and then it is totally taken care by the entrepreneurs over here, and they need to bring in the finance. So of course the finance will be able to, it will be available once the model is bankable. If the model is sustainable, it's economical viable, so the funding will be available. So initially, we started this model in April of last year. We started the pilot installation. I'll show you that picture. So that, we struggled for 9 months to convince the people that, okay, this is possible. So now we are getting the funds now. So I'm sure that with our experience, you don't have to go through 9 months of your struggle. We can help you to tap funding. So AEPC has already, given their inclination to help you to bring funding. So you need to understand how the model can be replicated in Nepal. So essentially the economics is like this. The costing I have given the cost. It's 500,000 rupees for 50 household. You may say that your community may not have 30 households or 50 households. It could be smaller community. I understand it's a hilly area. So it could be 20 households, 25 households, or 30 households. So you need to bring that kind of critical mass. So anything less than 25 households is not that viable. So you need to see that your communities are at least 25 to 30 household community. There could be some kind of income-driven things like some micro enterprises could be there. There are some stone cutting, this, that. So you need to build that. Okay, along with the community, there is some kind of could be optionally anchor customers. Optional. I am not saying that our model will not bankable without the anchor customers. If there are some anchor customers, there are micro enterprises, is better. So that's the essentially that could be some monthly charges is 250 rupees per month. That's the kind of package we provide. That 250 rupees per month package. We need to see the context over there. With this 250 rupees, they are getting a 24 hours kind of electricity, and the electricity is they're optional to plug in anything like they wish. Television, fan, light, anything. And the payback is 3.5 years without government subsidy. So there are some pictures. You see that LED bulb. So that is the LED bulb that we provide. That's the laptop. You see, laptops are also, in fact, in the villages of UP, you must be heard about Akhilesh Jadhav, in CM of Nepal, CM of UP. He actually distributed laptops free of cost over there. So the laptops are also on our system. That's the fan, that's the first fan in that village. That's the, this is the pilot installation. So you see there's a smart installation. On just 2 poles, all the panels are installed. And below that you see that green box behind that lady. So that's the box which is battery bank. So from there everything is underground. You see that's the prepaid meter hub. Essentially there's a node for prepaid meter. The wires are coming from the ground and getting into that meter box. So the meter box cannot be tampered. or you cannot bypass the meters. That's the, so to give you the comfort that essentially, if there is a prepaid meter, it is there. So they have to first recharge and then go for the electricity. Great returns, essentially, clean energy and the replacement of kerosene, all benefits. Thank you.